Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Anubha Rohatgi and with me is R.S. Raghu with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviews research and vaccine deployment ecosystem against the COVID-19, says facility to get tested regularly, speedily and inexpensively must be available to all citizens. New Delhi says China has no locus standi to comment on India's internal matters. India dismisses Pakistan's dubious claim that New Delhi sent a message indicating desire for talks. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate crosses 87%. Indian shuttler Kidambi Srikanth storms into quarterfinals of Denmark Open Badminton Championship. And in IPL cricket, match between Royal Challengers Bangalore and Kings 11 Punjab is underway at Sharjah. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a note of caution to stay safe and stay protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now, the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today took a review meeting of the research and vaccine deployment ecosystem against the COVID-19 pandemic, including testing technologies, contact tracing, drugs and therapeutics. Mr. Modi appreciated the efforts made by Indian vaccine developers and manufacturers to rise to the COVID-19 challenge and committed to continue government facilitation and support for all such efforts. The Prime Minister directed that both sero surveys and testing must be scaled up. He said that the facility to get tested regularly, speedily and inexpensively must be available to all at the earliest. He took stock of Health Ministry's comprehensive distribution and delivery mechanisms for vaccines. It includes mechanisms for adequate procurement and technologies for bulk stockpiling, filling vials for distribution and ensuring effective delivery. Mr. Modi also underscored the need for continuous and rigorous scientific testing and validation of traditional medicine treatments. He appreciated the efforts of the Ministry of Ayush for conducting evidence-based research and providing reliable solution in this difficult time. The Prime Minister reiterated the country's resolve to provide cost-effective, easily available and scalable solutions for testing, vaccine and medication, not only for India but for the entire world. He called for continued vigilance and high state of preparedness against the pandemic. The meeting was attended by Health Minister Harshvardhan, Member Health in Niti Aayog Dr. V.K. Paul, Principal Scientific Advisor Professor K. Vijay Raghavan, senior scientists and other officials.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will release a commemorative coin of 75 rupees denomination to mark the 75th anniversary of Food and Agricultural Organization FAO tomorrow. Mr. Modi will also dedicate 17 recently developed biofortified varieties of 8 crops to the nation. Union Agriculture Minister, Finance Minister and Women and Child Development Minister will also be present on the occasion. It will be witnessed by Anganwadis, Krishi Vigyan Kendras, organic and horticulture missions across the country. The event marks the highest priority accorded by the government to agriculture and nutrition and is a testament of the resolve to completely eliminate hunger, undernourishment and malnutrition. New Delhi today said that China has no locus standi to comment on India's internal matters. Replying to media queries on China's remarks, MEA spokesperson Anurag Srivastava said Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh have been and will remain integral parts of India. He said Arunachal Pradesh is also very much an integral part of India and this fact has also been clearly conveyed to Chinese side on several occasions, including at the highest level. The spokesperson said New Delhi hopes that countries will not comment on India's internal matters as much as they expect the same from others. On China's remarks over border infrastructure, Mr. Srivastava said Government of India has focused on creating infrastructure for improving livelihood and economic welfare of its people. He said government gives specific attention to development of border areas for economic development and to meet India's security and strategic requirements.
India today dismissed the claim of Pakistan Prime Minister's Special Assistant on National Security that New Delhi has sent a message to Islamabad indicating a desire for talks between the two countries. Briefing media virtually from New Delhi this evening, MEA spokesperson Anurag Srivastava said, "We have seen reports of interview of a senior Pakistani official to an Indian media outlet and he has commented on India's internal affairs. He said, as always, this is an effort of the present Pakistan government to divert attention from domestic failures and mislead its domestic constituents by pulling India into headlines on a daily basis.
The official is well advised to restrict his advice to his establishment and not to comment on India's domestic policy. The statements made by him are contrary to facts on the ground, misleading and fictitious. As regards the purported message that was referred to, let me make it clear that no such message was sent from our side. Further, I would like to add that Pakistan continues to support, aid and abet cross-border terrorism against India and has also been resorting to unprovoked ceasefire violations to support terrorist infiltration.
He said the Pakistani leadership continues to indulge in an inappropriate, provocative and hate speech against India. Mr. Srivastava said such support to terrorism against India and use of derogatory and abusive language are not conducive to normal neighbourly relations. Over 18 lakh Indians have been repatriated through different modes under the Vande Bharat mission. Briefing media virtually from New Delhi this evening, MEA spokesperson Anurag Srivastava said the 7th phase of the mission is underway since the 1st of this month and 444 international flights have been operated from 18 countries. He said it includes flights from among the 14 countries with which India has bilateral air bubble arrangement. The MEA spokesperson said these flights reached 21 airports across the country, repatriating an estimated 80,000 people.
The first edition of lectures designed to introduce India to foreign diplomats posted in New Delhi was inaugurated today by Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla. It has been named as Sushma Swaraj Lectures 2020. Briefing media, MEA spokesperson Anurag Srivastava said 45 foreign diplomats are attending the lectures, which will give them an introduction to Indian history, polity, culture and economy. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari initiated the first blasting for Jojila Tunnel in Jammu and Kashmir today. The blast took place at Neelagad at West Portal in J&K and Smangla Meena Marg at East Portal in Ladakh. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Gadkari said that the government saved a huge sum of money during the implementation of the project.
इस टनल के काम में हमारे विभाग के सभी अधिकारियों के और सभी लोगों के प्रयासों के कारण हमने करीब 4,000 करोड़ रुपए की बचत भी की है। भारत के जनता के 4,000 करोड़ बचाए हैं और आशिया की सबसे बड़ी टनल का निर्माण का कार्य का शुभारंभ हुआ है। ये निश्चित रूप से आज बहुत ही गौरव का क्षण है।
The tunnel will provide all-weather connectivity between Srinagar Valley and Leh on NH1 and will bring about all-round economic and socio-cultural integration of Jammu and Kashmir. It involves construction of 14.15 kilometer long tunnel at an altitude of about 3,000 meters under Jojila Pass on NH1 connecting Srinagar and Leh through Dras and Kargil. It is one of the most dangerous stretch in the world to drive a vehicle, and this project is also geostrategically sensitive. In Ladakh Union Territory, Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways Mr. Nitin Gadkari initiated Asia's longest Jojila tunnel works virtually by igniting ceremonial blast today. The 15-year-old languishing project finally took off with twin blasts at east portals of Meenamarg and Baltal this afternoon. On the first day, blasts conducted twice on both the portals to waste no time on ceremonies. More from our correspondent.
At a height of 3,000 meters in the Pir Panjal mountain range, construction of Jojila Tunnel is a historic necessity to provide an all-weather road connectivity between Ladakh and the rest of the world. Reduced cost and construction time and aggressive implementation of the revised plans are giving confidence in the general public this time. Minister Nitin Gadkari also sets a target for the National Highway Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited and the contractor to complete the construction before 2024. Jojila is a challenging and dangerous route, especially during the winters. This pass on National Highway 1 gets closed nearly 6 months in a year. On completion, the single-tube Jojila Tunnel will have a bidirectional two-way lane with a design speed of 80 kilometers in the tunnel. With Anayat Ali, this is Ramesh Chandra for All India Radio News from Jojila in Kargil.
Following the fake television ratings points TRP scam, the Broadcast Audience Research Council BARC today announced a temporary suspension of weekly ratings of news channels across languages. An official statement from BARC said the Council intends to review and augment the current standards of measurement to improve on statistical robustness, and the exercise will result in a pause in the weekly ratings for up to 12 weeks. At least 5 people have been arrested by the Mumbai police who busted the scam earlier this month. Those arrested include news channel employees, while the police is also questioning executives of a private news channel with regard to the case. The CBI today said it is continuing to investigate the case regarding the death of actor Sushant Singh Rajput. There were certain speculative reports in the media that the CBI has reached a conclusion. The investigative agency in a statement today denied the reports and reiterated that these reports are speculative and erroneous.
Government has requested all citizens to connect with the cause of war widows, ex-servicemen, wards of the martyred soldiers and contribute generously to Armed Forces Flag Day Fund in solidarity with the soldiers and their next of kin or dependents. Contributions to Armed Forces Flag Day Fund are exempt from income tax under Section 80G 5(6) of the Income Tax Act 1961. This financial assistance is provided out of the Armed Forces Flag Day Fund, for which contributions are received from the general public on the Armed Forces Flag Day, which is celebrated on 7th December every year. Payments may be made to Kendriya Sainik Board Secretariat, New Delhi, in favor of the Armed Forces Flag Day Fund payable at New Delhi. In Jammu and Kashmir, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha, who is also chairman of Shri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine Board, launched a mobile app for the devotees of Shri Mata Vaishno Devi Ji at Civil Secretariat in Srinagar today. Speaking on the occasion, the Lieutenant Governor said that the mobile app will be of immense help to the devotees worldwide to have the live darshan of Ma Vaishno Devi, besides availing various other facilities made available by the Shrine Board through this medium. You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviews the research and vaccine deployment ecosystem against the COVID-19, says facility to get tested regularly, speedily and inexpensively must be available to all citizens. New Delhi says China has no locus standi to comment on India's internal matters. India dismisses Pakistan's dubious claim that New Delhi sent message indicating desire for talks. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate crosses 87%. Indian shuttler Kidambi Srikanth storms into quarterfinals of Denmark Open Badminton Championship, and in IPL cricket, match between Royal Challengers Bangalore and Kings 11 Punjab is underway at Sharjah. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
अरे भाई सुना तुमने? अरे इस मुश्किल समय में सरकार ने हम कामगारों की मदद के लिए एक और बड़ा कदम उठाया है।
कौन सा कदम?
पात्रता के नियमों में छूट के साथ ESIC ने अटल बीमित व्यक्ति कल्याण योजना के तहत मिलने वाली राहत राशि को बढ़ाकर दुगना कर दिया है। हाँ,
अच्छा, पात्रता की शर्तों को पूरा करने वाले जरूरतमंद बीमित व्यक्ति राहत के लिए ऑनलाइन दावा www.esic.in पर करें। अधिक जानकारी के लिए अपने नजदीकी ESIC शाखा कार्यालय से संपर्क करें या फिर टोल फ्री नंबर 1800-112526 पर कॉल करें।
The government today said that the country's COVID-19 recovery rate has reached 87.36% in the last 24 hours, and more than 81,000 COVID patients have recovered in the same period. The Health Ministry said the total number of recoveries has reached over 63,83,000. The constantly increasing recoveries have ensured that the actual caseload has considerably reduced and currently comprises only 11.12% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 8,12,000. Currently, India's case fatality rate is 1.52%, which is one of the lowest globally. In the past 24 hours, 67,735 new cases were reported, taking the total number of positive cases in the country to over 73 lakh. The government has issued several instructions to all central government departments to contain the spread of coronavirus. A personnel ministry order has instructed all central government officers to ensure that every official meeting commences with messages on COVID-19 related precautions so as to sensitize officers and staff about the pandemic.
After the announcement by the Karnataka state government to allow opening of cinema theatres in Karnataka, several multiplex in Bengaluru opened up the cinema halls for public today after 7 months of closure. However, in the rest of the state, cinema theatres have preferred to open tomorrow. More from our correspondent.
Under the prevailing situation of the pandemic, cinema halls opened up after following guidelines issued by the government. Most of the theatre management have, however, decided to open the cinema halls tomorrow. This is so because since beginning it is a practice to screen any new movie on Fridays. There were not many people seen in the multiplex that opened today due to a weekday. The standard operating procedure has to be followed, especially during the weekend if crowds swell. The cinema theatres were preparing to open up since last month in the anticipation of the government order. They had started sanitization and erection of barricades to ensure social distancing. They had arranged hand sanitizers and thermal screening. The sitting arrangements had also been changed with alternative seats taped to prevent anyone sitting in them. Only e-tickets with QR code will be allowed to ensure contactless entry of the audience. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray today said that the decision to reopen cinema halls in the state will be taken once the Standard Operating Procedure SOP is finalized. He said the Cultural Affairs Department of the state government has been drafting the SOP. In the backdrop of the cinema halls, which are shut for more than 6 months after the COVID-19 induced lockdown was imposed, the Chief Minister today held a meeting with the multiplex and cinema hall owners via video conferencing. He, however, assured them that the government would soon give permission to reopen the cinema halls. In Uttar Pradesh, few cinema halls opened today with adherence to the COVID guidelines issued by the state government, and a limited number of viewers came to watch movie shows. More from our correspondent.
In most of the cities, no cinema halls were open today due to various reasons. Very few cinema halls were opened in metro cities like Lucknow, Kanpur, Agra, Allahabad and Gorakhpur. In Shamli, cinema hall owners told AIR that they will open the theatres once there will be any new movie release. In Lucknow, only 3 cinema halls, including 1 multiplex, was opened and all were running old movies, since there is hardly any new release. Viewers were also reluctant to come to the movie hall, and there were very few people who booked the tickets. In Bijnor district, due to the growing number of COVID cases, cinema hall owners decided not to open theatres till the situation improves. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh has allowed opening of government schools from Monday, 19th October, with ceiling on the number of students and hours of operation. An official spokesman said that the schools will be opened after completing sanitization and disinfection procedures. He said the SOP issued by the government will be followed and parents' consent will be mandatory for students to attend the school. Our correspondent reports that some of the private schools in the state have opened today. The CM has also ordered resumption of normal OPD service and elective surgeries with extensive precautions in place, but warned against any complacency given the projections of a possible second wave of the pandemic. Today is Global Hand Washing Day. The day is observed on October 15th every year to raise awareness and highlight the importance of hand washing as an effective means of disease prevention. Dr. Poonam Khetrapal Singh, the Regional Director of WHO Southeast Asia region, said this year it marks a critical reminder for the world that this simple, cost-effective practice can save lives. Dr. Singh said that 10 months into the pandemic, hand washing with soap and other public health measures such as maintaining physical distance, practicing cough etiquette and wearing a mask remain the best defense against coronavirus.
Dr. Manjari Tripathi, Head of Department Neurology, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, says one must ensure wearing a mask properly before leaving home. Talking to AIR News, Dr. Manjari said strict adherence to masking, social distancing and sanitization is the only safety available against the coronavirus.
When we go out of the house, it is necessary that we wash our hands with soap, wear our mask. Before we leave the house, we must adjust the mask so that it comfortably sits and covers the nose and the mouth. After leaving the house, there should be no reason to touch the mask. If we keep touching the mask, it is a risk for having infection. When we go out, it is necessary that we do not stick to people. We stay away from people by about a distance of 2 to 3 feet. And it is also necessary that we frequently wash our hands with soap water or sanitize with sanitizer.
India's first Oscar winner, costume designer Bhanu Asaya, died at her home in Mumbai today after prolonged illness. She was 91. Asaya, who won an Oscar for her work in the 1983 epic film Gandhi, passed away peacefully in her sleep. Her last rites took place at the Chandanwadi crematorium in South Mumbai.
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has taken cognizance of the Ballia incident in which a murder was committed in front of police personnel by a criminal. He has directed that the SDM, CO and police personnel on the spot be suspended immediately and strictest action be taken against the accused. The role of the officers shall be investigated and if responsible, criminal action shall be taken. This is All India Radio giving you the news.
In Bihar, the election campaign has intensified in poll-bound areas of 71 assembly constituencies in the first phase of elections. Senior BJP and JDU leaders are addressing election rallies in support of NDA candidates. The BJP President J.P. Nadda addressed two public meetings at Karakat and Goho. Mr. Nadda took a swipe at RJD in the Karakat rally over the issue of development. He said, in the past, RJD-led governments did nothing for developments and now they are talking about development. JDU President and Chief Minister Nitish Kumar addressed four political rallies at Chakai, Shekhpura, Lakhisarai and Paliganj. BSP and RLSP have agreed to hold joint public meetings. BSP Chief Mayawati will hold joint election rallies with Rashtriya Lok Samta Party RLSP Chief Upendra Kushwaha. Meanwhile, the nomination process for the second phase of election has reached its last leg. More from our correspondent.
In the second phase, so far 560 nominations have been filed. LJP leader and former Minister Renu Kushwaha submitted her nomination from Khagadia constituency. JDU nominee and former Minister Dr. Ranju Geeta filed her nomination from Bajpatti Assembly constituency. The cousin brother of LJP President Chirag Paswan, Krishna Raj, filed nomination papers from Rosra seat in Samastipur district. Senior CPI leader Avdhesh Rai also filed his nomination papers from Bachwara Assembly seat in Begusarai. For the third phase, only 30 candidates have submitted their nomination papers. Dharmendra Kumar Rai, AIR News, Patna.
News just in. Congress today released another list of 49 candidates for Bihar Assembly polls. Sitting MLA of party Adit Sharma will again contest from Bhagalpur seat. Love Sinha, son of actor turned politician Shatrughan Sinha, has been fielded from Bankipur and veteran leader Sharad Yadav's daughter Subhashini from Bihariganj seat. Party has fielded Pravesh Kumar Mishra for by-election to Valmiki Nagar's Lok Sabha seat in Bihar.
In Madhya Pradesh, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has ordered investigation by Special Investigation Team into the incident of death of labourers by consumption of spurious liquor in Ujjain. 11 labourers have died so far in Ujjain after consuming spurious liquor since yesterday. Our correspondent has more details.
According to official information, in a high-level meeting in Bhopal, the Chief Minister said that the culprits will not be released at any cost. 4 police personnel, including the in charge of Khara Kuan Police Station of Ujjain, have been suspended. Meanwhile, Additional Chief Secretary Home Dr. Rajesh Rajoura has been appointed for the overall investigation of the incident. District Collector Ujjain Ashish Singh said that administration has also detained some suspects in this case. They will be prosecuted under the National Security Act. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao has written a letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi saying that the state has suffered losses to a tune of 5,000 crore rupees due to heavy rains and flash floods. The Chief Minister also urged the centre to release 1,350 crore rupees immediately for rehabilitation and relief works. The damages assessed are based on the initial reports. Meanwhile, relief works gained momentum as there is some respite from rains in the state, especially in Hyderabad. Our correspondent has filed this report.
People in Hyderabad and elsewhere in the state got respite from heavy rains that battered the city for the past 3 days. However, the floodwater has not yet receded from the residential colonies at several places and many places remained inundated. Meanwhile, relief operations picked up momentum and about 44,000 people are taking shelter in the relief camps in Hyderabad. The authorities have been directed to provide food, water and blankets to them as the night temperatures dip due to rains. Medical teams have been pressed into service, especially in the low-lying areas and rain-affected areas. Following release of surplus water from Himayat Sagar upstream, Musi River is flowing dangerously at Musarambag, flooding adjacent areas in Hyderabad. Army, teams of the National Disaster Management Force and the disaster response teams of the JHMC continued rescue and relief works in the flood-hit areas. Lakshmi, AR News, Hyderabad.
Today is International Day of Rural Women. The day recognizes the critical role and contribution of rural women, including indigenous women, in enhancing agricultural and rural development, improving food security and eradicating rural poverty. In an exclusive interview with AIR News, the Country Director, International Fund for Agricultural Development, Dr. Rasha Omar, has underlined the role of women in fighting climate change and finding solutions for the impact of climate change. The 89th birth anniversary of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who served as the 11th President of India, is being celebrated today. Meanwhile, the United Nations is also celebrating Dr. Abdul Kalam's birth anniversary as World Students' Day. The theme of this year's celebration is Learning for People, Planet, Prosperity and Peace.
On to sports. In badminton, ace Indian shuttler Kidambi Shrikant stormed into the quarterfinals of the Denmark Open with a straight-game win over Jason Anthony Ho-Shu at Odense today. Back in action after a 7-month-long coronavirus-forced break, the fifth-seed Indian took 33 minutes to get the better of his Canadian opponent, 21-15, 21-14 in the men's singles second-round match of the Super 750 tournament, the only event happening this year in Badminton World Federation's calendar. In Indian Premier League cricket, Royal Challengers Bangalore RCB were 133 for 4 in 17 overs against Kings 11 Punjab at Sharjah Cricket Stadium when reports last came in. RCB won the toss and decided to bat. Kings 11 Punjab made 3 changes, bringing Chris Gale, Deepak Hooda and M. Ashwin in place of Mandeep Singh, Prabh Simran Singh and Mujibur Rahman.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature will be 16 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while the maximum will be around 35 degrees. The city will have mainly clear sky. Srinagar and Ladakh will have mainly clear sky. The temperature in Srinagar will hover between 5 and 25 degrees Celsius. In Ladakh, the minimum temperature will be -2 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 20 degrees. Gilgit will experience mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 8 and 25 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, there will be mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature will be 12 and the maximum 30 degrees Celsius. The temperature in the national capital Delhi will hover between 19 and 34 degrees Celsius. It will have mist tomorrow. In Mumbai, there will be generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The minimum temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 33 degrees. Chennai will experience partly cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 26 and 35 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will witness partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. The minimum temperature in the metropolis will be 27 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 36 degrees. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 19 and 33 degrees Celsius. The city will have partly cloudy sky with haze.
And now, before we close the headlines once again, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviews research and vaccine deployment ecosystem against the COVID-19, says facility to get tested regularly, speedily and inexpensively must be available to all citizens. New Delhi says China has no locus standi to comment on India's internal matters. India dismisses Pakistan's dubious claim that New Delhi sent a message indicating desire for talks. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate crosses 87%. Indian shuttler Kidambi Shrikant storms into quarterfinals of Denmark Open Badminton Championship. And in IPL cricket, match between Royal Challengers Bangalore and Kings 11 Punjab is underway at Sharjah. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.